very proud of you guys.
Sit down.
For winning this, I'd like to give you a little prize from us. And I think there's an extra little prize here as well. Something special from Brian here. So glad you guys came in today. That's all, I guess. All right. And thank you guys for helping me out with that.